What's going on, guys, and welcome to another episode of Alignment First, where we're on a mission to bring leaders back to their peace, presence, and power. And I've got the honor and the pleasure of jamming with Noelia Worth, hairstylist,
Yes.
entrepreneur, and the host of A Connection is a Connection podcast. Shout out to DJ Barton and Connections and Cocktails for getting us connected. And we
Yes.
had a really short but powerful exchange at his last event that has led to this opportunity to sit down with you today. So, first and foremost, I know you're busy. I know you got a lot going on, and I'm grateful for you making the time today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to quick, fast, and in a hurry get to how you made the leap from hairstylist to salon owner, and then we'll segue into how we'll see how deep this rabbit hole goes.
Okay. So I've been a hairstylist for 29 years. And most of the time I worked for someone. And I also actually was a stay-at-home mom for quite a few years as well.
Mm-hmm.
So once I got back into doing hair, I started working at a health fitness place. And after a while, I had a friend of mine that she went on her own, had her own business, and she asked me, and she said, I think you should go on your own. It actually terrified me because I was single mom with two kids. I'm like, I don't know if I can do this. It took me 5 years to finally have the guts to do it. And I said, okay, that's it. I think it's time. So I was nervous. I was really nervous, and I didn't know how this was going to work out.
Mm-hmm.
But I did it. I said, the heck with it. Let's do it without even knowing anything about business. I've never done anything else but hair and work for somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
So I had no clue.
What were the unanticipated things that came along with opening your own place? Because to be as savvy a technician, such a pro at the job, when you go out on your own and you start your own enterprise, there's all kind, especially, and you and hair was me and Jim. I was real good about helping people sweat and smile. I had no idea about P&Ls and payroll and admin and all that other stuff that came along with it. So it was very much an education through the school of hard knocks in the very beginning. And I'm curious what that may have looked like for you in the early days.
That was exactly it. All the licensing, and I'm like, what are you talking about? What licensing or permits about retail, or about the permit for the building, or for another licensing besides my personal licensing. I mean, it just yeah, yeah, I had no idea.
Was there a moment, because you said it was hanging out in the back of your mind for 5 years before you finally pulled the trigger and made it happen? Was there a moment that was like a straw that broke the camel's back kind of thing, or did you just feel ready enough? How'd you make the leap?
There was a moment, there was a situation where had to do with management,
Mm-hmm.
um, that I just wasn't happy with. And it was more like I was being pushed to do
Mm-hmm.
that at this point, because I figured anywhere else that I would go would probably be a similar
Mm-hmm.
situation. So, and some of my clients were telling me, you need to go on your own. You will do well. You need to go on your own. So I
Mm-hmm.
listened to them.
Yeah. I have a rule of threes. And I'm curious if you have something like this in your world, where when I get confirmation on a feeling, an idea, or an evolution, I scratch that itch the first one or two times, but that third one is like, okay, I hear you, universe. Let's go. I'm ready or not, we're gonna make this happen. And that has been very useful for me when it comes to what I do next or what else I take on in addition to all the other stuff that I have going on. And I'm curious, do you have like some conscious God winks that you're paying attention to that kind of guide you down the way?
Um, that is exactly it too. What has happened? If I have two or three confirmations, absolutely, I think it's time to do it. And at that point, I will just leave it in God's hands. And if it works out, if that's what He wants me to do, yes, then let's go.
Mm-hmm.
If not, then He's going to close that door and probably open up a different one.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever gone the way of uh, writing a letter to your future self?
No,
Oh man,
no.
check this. This literally just happened today. I was at a workshop last year, and I'll share this with you because I feel like this is your vibe. Uh, I literally just opened this up like 30 minutes ago, and the first paragraph reads, "Dear Michael, I'm proud of you for letting go of the gym. You finally laid your old self to rest and found peace. How amazing did it feel to finally sit still?" And I go on to explain to myself everything that I was going to feel that I have now, as I'm sitting here having this conversation with you today, have felt since sunsetting that version of myself and stepping into this practice fully. And I had to really get my shit together for us to be in this conversation because of the emotional connection to just the additional confirmation for making that taking that next easiest step and moving in this direction just a year ago.
A year ago.
Mm-hmm. I've been in this practice for 10 years, but it was always running alongside my training facility.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And this is a lot of what I coach in aligned leadership, in that when we see that when our present self meets our future self,
Mm-hmm.
there's an inherent friction that comes with that intersection. And it is so human, it's not even funny, that in order for us to justify the evolution from one to the other,
Mm-hmm.
rather than doing what requires the most courage and just making it happen and letting go of your old self, moving through the death of the old, moving through the bardo and the birth of the new, a lot of imposter syndrome, delay. Maybe in your case it was 5 years, right? And self-sabotaging behavior patterns tend to show up at that intersection. And what I mean by that is, it's like you once you meet your future self, and however that happens, for me it was like, hey dude, like, never mind your intuition, this is also adding up in dollars and cents as well. You can't unsee it. And rather than do the courageous thing and unapologetically move into that future self,
Mm-hmm.
we like to burn bridges or ignore things to the point where the situation gets so bad it justifies the evolution. And we introduce, in a lot of cases, unnecessary friction that justifies that courageous decision. And
Yes.
And I'm curious for you, because what most people are looking for is permission to step into that next level of greatness. But ultimately, that permission needs to come from yourself. And if we can bypass all that self sabotage and imposter syndrome and self worth and et cetera, and just take that next step, oh my gosh, we would save ourselves so much heartache. And I'm curious what that looks like in your world, in your evolution, and the conversation that you're having with your guests on your podcast, which I can't wait to do after this.
Hmm. That's actually a great idea what you're talking about. So I felt like I really didn't have a chance. I had very few weeks for me to really make a fast decision and just
Mm-hmm.
do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so otherwise I would lose everything that I built.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to do it quick at that point. So
Mm-hmm.
everything that you're talking about, me thinking and then just I didn't have time to. The moment I walked out of that door,
Mm-hmm.
even though I had no idea what I was getting myself into, but I sat in my car and I was just bawling because I had no clue. I had no clue where I was. I don't know how this is gonna go. I don't know what's
Mm-hmm.
gonna happen. But yeah, after that, I got over it. Okay, let's do this.
So, what was the story that you were telling yourself for the 5 years up to that moment where it sounds like you just couldn't take it anymore?
My
And it,
story was
yeah.
I'm a single mom. I'm supporting two kids, and I don't want to fail. That was my story.
Mm-hmm.
And if I go out on my own, I could fail. So it was security.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, security.
And the pain you were familiar with was more comfortable
Hmm.
than the unknown pain, the potential pain of potentially failing going out on your own.
Yes.
So this is fascinating to me because I spend so much time in and out of these conversations around how we uh, hang on to what's familiar, whether it's good for us or not,
Hmm.
so that we don't have to face the fear of the unknown,
Yeah.
right? Or
Hmm.
in the best case scenario, we're terrified of the exploration of our own excellence.
Yes.
Like, I love turning that, inverting that question of what if it doesn't work out to, well, what if it did? Right. And when you replay the tape, you can't go back and change anything. It took what it took. But there's a lot of utility in exploring that 5 year bar. Are you familiar with the Tibetan Book of the Dead?
No.
Oh man. So a great friend of mine, shout out to Kara, put me onto it. Um, and in it, it's way less morbid than it sounds. But in uh, the premise of the book is this concept of the bardo. It's the liminal space between of transition between the death of something old and the birth of something new. Okay, the bardo is that in between, that purgatory where you're trying to figure your shit out, you
Hmm.
know, and that could be 5 minutes, that could be 5 years, right? And what when you kind of put that into practical application and recognize it for what it is, there's a lot of utility that comes from the exploration of the story you were telling yourself for 5 years that culminated in this moment where it was like, you know what, I'm done. There, getting away, the pull of what's beyond this is finally greater than dealing with this one more day, right?
Yeah.
And I'm And if you can sit still long enough to kind of move through that, you create this new story where you can collapse time for your future self, so that when those signs, the universe starts giving you those signals and they start to show up, you're not sitting in that shit for 5 years, because now you know what the upside is of making a move right here, right now, and really listening to that intuition, as opposed to what so many of us do. We ignore this for as long as possible, and we try to make those decisions through logic and rationalizing and trying to make it make sense.
Yeah.
As opposed to, I don't know how to explain this shit. I just know it's right. So here we go.
Absolutely.
And as I say that, what's showing up for you?
So that's interesting when you're talking about this. Not only did I had to do it one time, I had to do it twice. Because the first time was when I was a stay-at-home mom, and so I didn't do hair for quite a few years. Well, about like 7 or 8 years. I had to go back because I was getting divorced, and I had to go back into doing that. The first day that and that's what it took me a while to finally do that. And in my mind, was I don't know if I'm capable of doing this anymore. I don't know if I can do this. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I'm not a hairstylist. That was in my mind. I don't know if I can. So when I finally got back behind the chair again, I told a friend of mine, I said, I don't know if I can cut hair or do color again. I'm not sure if I can. She looked at me like I was crazy. Like, what are you talking about? You've always been so good at what you do. You can do this. And obviously once I started doing hair, then that completely just changed and I got back into my groove. But yeah.
Is it challenging for you, having stepped into that evolved identity not once but twice, when somebody sits in your chair and they get lost in their own story, you know, putting it shortly, playing the role of the victim in their own story? How hard is it for you not to kill that story right then and there and help them see what they don't?
It's not because I'm very straightforward. And they so whether they like it or not, they're gonna hear it.
Yeah.
And they appreciate it. They really do. They're like, wow, that's harsh, but I appreciate your your input
Mm.
on it. So that's just the way I am.
Is there a piece of you, having taken the journey that you have, that has less tolerance and or judges that victim narrative? Is there something that is there a signal that you're getting that is a reminder of an old version of Noelia? Or like, what is it that gives you that courage to call it out on the floor?
Um, just being myself. Just being myself, being real, and just being myself. And whatever happens, happens.
Yeah. So you've never,
Oh,
you've
shoot.
you've
Uh-oh.
never,
Hold on.
lights go out.
There we go.
There we go. So you've never held back for fear of losing a client?
No. No.
Where does that bravery come from?
Um, I've always been like that since a child. I had a pretty rough childhood.
Yeah.
And I think when you have a grow up in environments that are a little more rough, you tend to evolve to have a more stronger mentality
Mm-hmm.
and being straightforward with things. And because of things that you've experienced or that you've seen, um, it's just that's my personality. That's just how I am.
So is your presentation when somebody is in your chair and opting into that role of victim, is it your pattern to call that out on the carpet, get that part over with, and then immediately backdoor it with some sense of empathy and understanding? Or do you
Yes.
just call it out and wait?
No, I add a little bit of grace and empathy and understanding to it.
Okay.
Yes.
I was gonna say either you're really fucking good at what you do, or there's a little more to it. Uh, because what you're talking about is a learned behavior that was a struggle for me for a long time in business, especially after uh, 4 years on active duty in the Marine Corps, where not so much, you know, Marine culture. Yeah, that has something to do with it. That whole Spartan mentality thing, but more so just the open line of communication and the frame that every decision that we make, whether it's
Hmm.
scrubbing toilets or battle planning, has the aura of life and death, right?
Hmm.
And I can I'm like replaying so many conversations early in business where I didn't have any tact. I was so impatient with people, and I had like no grace. And sometimes, I like to joke with my clients. I'm like, "Look, you're getting a very evolved version of coaching here, because empathy was very much a learned behavior for me."
Hmm.
So, in acknowledgement of your upbringing and those tough environments, and seeing what it sounds like is crazy shit, who taught you, or where did you learn, better put, the art of people?
Oh.
Because I've watched you work a room and you're good.
I don't know. Yes. I think for the past year, I'm learning a lot about myself, and I evolved.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't like I felt like I wasn't really like that before, even though
Mm-hmm.
I think I was. I just didn't think I felt like I wasn't. But once I started doing my show and interviewing people, listening to their things, it just naturally started evolving that way. Now, even with my clients present, they will play the victim, and I first thing I tell them, and I every single one of them,
Mm-hmm.
you're trusting your thoughts and you're trusting your feelings. And I give them the example of, hold on a second. So remember the first love that you had in your life. Um, you wanted to give your all to that person. That was just your life completely. Do you
Mm-hmm.
feel that way now with that person? Absolutely not.
Mm-hmm.
So our feelings and our thoughts constantly change by the minute. So do you trust that? Do you really want to trust that? So
Mm-hmm.
then they think about it and they're like, oh, hold on a second.
Wow.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So that's when I start with the rest of the conversation, and I'm very straightforward.
Mm. What was there a guest you had on your show? Because I want to come to that. Was there a conversation that you had in behind the chair that was the impetus for your podcast? Like, how did that whole thing get started in the first place?
It wasn't. It started church.
Tell me more.
Church. Um, I was one day sitting at church in service, and for some reason I don't know why, but I wanted to know what my purpose was. And I
Mm-hmm.
was praying about it. I said, God, I really want to know what my purpose is in this world. Um, I so at that moment I was listening to the pastor, and all of a sudden he started talking about having a purpose in life and what God wanted uh for you in your life. So, which was odd because I walked out of that church. I called a friend of mine. I said, "Hey, this is what I'm doing. It's going to be a YouTube channel. I'm going to interview business owners, professionals, and this is what I'm going to be talking about." Just
Mm-hmm.
right there and there. And she was like, "Wow, I was actually thinking about that." Ever since that day, every single Thursday I have a new episode. I've been nonstop with videos. Nonstop.
And what would you say is the common theme or the top three themes that are recurring in those conversations so far?
Um the struggles that people go through,
Mm-hmm.
recovery, addiction, um and where they're at now, what it's taking them, how it's taking them to where they are now,
Mm-hmm.
with their business, family, their success. um yeah.
Do you feel like the struggle narrative is required for us to appreciate or even experience at all the greatest version of ourselves?
Oh, absolutely. That's what molds you and helps you grow.
Mm-hmm.
You have to go through it.
Mm-hmm. But does it have so when do you put a charge, positive or negative, on the word struggle?
Uh, Both.
Okay.
I'm thankful, very thankful, because it's put me where I'm at now. It's helped
Mm-hmm.
me grow for
Yep.
sure. Um, so yes, both.
And then do you, if we're gonna hang on the word struggle for a second, do you feel like we're at what point in our maturity do we shift the charge from negative, meaning the struggle that was imposed upon us, to positive, meaning the struggle that's required for us to be great? Where do you feel like, per the conversations you've had and your own lived experience, where does that switch flip?
It doesn't flip in that moment, obviously, because you're
Mm-hmm.
going through that and you're wondering, why is this happening to me? We always do that. Why is it happening to me? Or you're blaming whoever you're believing that you're
Mm-hmm.
blaming.
Yeah. Yep.
um so your emotions are all over the place. Here we go, we're trusting our thoughts, we're trusting our feelings, and we're in that negative emotion.
Mm-hmm.
Once that passes and you're starting to slowly see coming to the light, and you're starting to see things, that are evolving, and you
Mm-hmm.
look back and you're wondering, okay, wow, I that had to happen for me to get to where I'm at now.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the positive comes in. But you're not trusting those uh thoughts that you had back then.
Mm-hmm.
They're completely different now. And that's where you become grateful looking back. If I didn't go through that, I wouldn't mature. I wouldn't be as, the growth that I have now. So yeah.
But where do you feel like the effort needs to be directed so that we can get to that place of appreciation faster? And when less than optimal, less than desirable circumstances are imposed upon us, as life loves to do, let me personalize this. Where and when did you realize that effort was required to step outside those circumstances, sit still long enough to understand what's actually happening so that you can pull the lesson from it, find out what's missing or what needs to be added, and take action in that direction? Because what a common theme, as you're also confirming in this conversation, is that you're so much less the product of your circumstances and so much more the result of the choices that you made in those circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
When did you become conscious of the difference?
When I was at my lowest point, that I just was like, okay, I can't do this anymore. Um, I'm done. It needs to change.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Tell me about it.
Um, s- um, this happened probably about a year ago or so, where
Mm-hmm.
I started realizing that I was going through, I made bad choices and I fell on my face several times. Then I started believing that um, I've done so much for people and nobody cares. And that was tough because I started isolating and pushing myself from people. But in my thoughts, that's what I believed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, to the point that I got fell into depression
Mm-hmm.
and I was alone. I was alone. I pushed everybody and isolated. I was alone and depressed. Um, I finally got to the point where I just was on my knees and I prayed and I reached out to God and said, I can't do this myself. You need to help me. You
Mm-hmm.
need to be here with me. You need to help me and guide me through. And ever since that, I started realizing that I leave everything to Him
Mm-hmm.
and not trust myself as much because I know I'll fall on my face. That's
Mm-hmm.
exactly what's going to happen. Then I started seeing things in a different way where I started learning to having guidance from other people.
Okay.
I started to get hungry for that, and I still am hungry for the knowledge, hungry for other people to teach me, to show me about growth, about the positive, about looking at what's happened in a more uh, positive way,
Mm-hmm.
and learning how to grow, learning how to do what I need to do to get to where I'm at now.
And in that hunger for knowledge, tell me, what is it that you look for in a mentor?
Um, hmm. The experience, the truthfulness. I
Mm-hmm.
want them to be not, yay, good for you, you're doing this. No, be truthful. I want somebody to be hardcore truthful with me and tell me if I'm what I'm doing wrong. And
Mm-hmm.
if the things that I'm doing so far is like negative, if I'm seeing something negative or I'm making a mistake and whatever, I want that person to truly be raw and real with me and tell me.
Mm. And what if, how do you receive praise and gratitude? Because what if you're doing some really cool shit, having a positive impact, and doing a genuinely good job? Do you overlook that in your own internal monologue?
Yes.
And would you say that it's probably a good idea for a mentor to also help you acknowledge and appreciate those strides too?
Probably. I guess.
Because here's what's interesting. Try this on and see how it fits. Because this was a big one for me. And when I started putting it out to the field and then started implementing it in the way that I coach, it's made monumental impact for my tribe and my circles of influence. In that, when somebody pays you a compliment,
Mhm.
what? Let me start with a question. What's your default pattern when you get paid a compliment?
I don't do too well when someone gives me a compliment. I don't know how to respond to it. And my thing is, I want to be careful with the ego and the pride,
Mm-hmm.
because when you get too much of that,
Mm-hmm.
your ego and your pride can go high up.
Sure.
So
And
yeah.
I acknowledge that, and that's real. And also, when somebody is, and you know the difference.
Yeah.
I've at one point you and I were strangers, and now we're here, right? And the reason we're here is because of genuine connection, right?
Mhm.
So I know that you know that we know the difference between somebody just blowing sunshine up your ass and being genuine,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
And when it comes to pa- pattern disruption, when somebody pays you a compliment, do you feel obligated to respond with a compliment in kind?
No.
How do you acknowledge the receipt of that compliment?
I mean, if someone gives me a compliment,
Mm-hmm.
I say thank you, and that's it.
Okay. Do you believe it?
No.
Okay. Why not?
Hmm. Uh, because I don't think that what I'm doing is as great as people say, or as
Mm-hmm.
I'm very judgmental with myself, and I don't think
Sure.
it's good enough.
Okay. Okay. First off, you don't do what you've done and made it as far as you have if you weren't good enough. So there's that. And the flip side of that egocentric narrative with regards to compliments
Hmm.
is negating your self-worth, because there is that padding that the ego also provides, in that, and I actually just moved through this in a session with my coach this morning, because I was having uh issue with being overly critical of myself in the aftermath of speaking engagements. Like, as soon as I get that applause and I walk off stage, my first thought is, God, I could have done this better. I missed that mark, and I just start chipping away at it, right?
Yep.
And almost immediately after that, I get text messages and from the MC or whoever introduced me to the audience, and they're like, "Oh my God, dude, that was so impactful. We got so much out of that. That was incredible. Boom, 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 boom." And the work that she helped me move through this morning was changing the narrative from one of self-criticism to a more empowering frame that is, keep doing the work that reinforces that confirmation.
Huh.
When you hear that, what shows up for you?
Hmm. Um, feel like that would become maybe eventually a habit, or I try to look the worst of everything
Mm-hmm.
else. A habit, or idolizing that to a certain point.
Mm.
Like now you would become doing that constantly to look for that.
Well, there's I'm doing this from a people pleasing, I want all the praise standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
It's so funny you mentioned that, because that's immediately where my head went first.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, no, that's the exact that's not the direction we're going. Right. Because that is ego.
Yeah, it is.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's more so the truth is moving in the direction that reinforces the pattern that got the praise, i.e., the practice, the reps, the iteration and improvement, right? That warrants that applause and doing a good job and leads to uh, more bookings and referrals, etc. Like all of that is the result of those efforts that happened before that moment on stage. Does that make sense?
That does make sense.
So it's not so much doing the work to justify the praise, but the reinforcing the habits, behaviors, and rituals that led to a quality presentation. And then the rest of it is a byproduct of that quality presentation. Does that make sense?
That makes more sense.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
this is interesting, because in one of the differentiators in my practice is going away from the way coaching is conventionally presented, in that you and I get into this work together and we establish some goals and we want to accomplish great things. And on the other side of those accomplishments is that new identity is born, right?
Mm-hmm.
Noelia's upgrade is on the other side of, being awarded the best salon in Arizona, right? And all of a sudden that gives you permission to step into the greater version of yourself, right? The problem with that process is that Noelia today, more likely than not, doesn't have the habits, patterns, and behaviors of that award-winning version of Noelia. So if we're ever going to get there, it's a really steep uphill climb to position ourselves for that award.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
However, if we can put that identity up, if we can front load the identity and start running your salon as if it's the number one, the best salon in Arizona, well, then the award becomes inevitable and is a byproduct of those patterns, habits, and behaviors. And oh my gosh, I cannot tell you the collapsing of time that occurs in achieving great things when you approach it identity first.
Huh.
What's showing up for you right now?
I never thought about it that way. Mm-hmm. This is new.
what becomes well, like what's the What's the reframing that's going on for you right here, right now, in real time?
Hmm. Um, Gosh, that's really making me think. Hmm. um, wow. I guess that's something that you could apply with anything,
Mm-hmm.
not just business, but with anything, even maybe your personal life as well.
Absolutely. Here's what's funny. Show me where your show me the friction in your personal life, and I guarantee you there's a version of it in your professional existence as well. Because spoiler alert, you're the same person on both sides of the fence.
That's true.
And it's interesting to me how we love to create this narrative that we are, our personal life and our professional life are mutually exclusive and independent of each other, when how you're doing in one has directly impacts how you're doing in the other, whether you like to admit it or not. So in the work that I do, it's getting those two existence to start running in parallel as opposed to away from each other. And in the best case scenarios, we get those two identities to overlap. So you don't have to spend all that time and energy taking one mask off and putting another mask on, depending on the room that you're in. And there's a guy, uh, his name's Chaz Hughes. He's a naval intelligence guy. I'm almost positive he worked with the CIA or some 3-letter agency after the Navy, and now he spends his time uh, um, assessing human behavior
Hmm.
for jury selection, depending on the side, whether it's the prosecution or the defense that hires him. He's like, for this case, you want these personality traits, da 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 da, and he helps these folks. He helps these attorneys. So in the jury selection process, and he talks about the three selves that we all present throughout the day: who we are with friends, who we are on the job, and who we are at home, and how those are three different identities that each of us carries. And as he's like walking through this in a podcast conversation I was listening to, it really got me thinking of the energy expenditure that's required to do that over and over and over every single day. And I'm like, how much energy would you get back if you only had one mask? If you were the same Noelia at home, with friends, and in the salon, that'd be pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, true.
What's showing up for you now?
um, that's funny. 'Cause what's been showing up is like, well, I have my mom mask
Mm-hmm.
and my professional mask over here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know how that would go, me yelling at my clients and tell them don't do that or do but no, yeah, absolutely. I feel like I'm halfway there. Like what I am at home, I'm half here as well.
Sure. Yep.
Uh, um Not completely, but yes,
Mm-hmm.
half. So you're absolutely right. If I push a little more onto being the same person either wherever I'm at,
Mm-hmm.
It would be easier.
Yeah. And, for all the friction that might present up front, the, uh, the energy savings that you would receive on the back end. I feel like a door-to-door salesman right now. Like I'm selling solar or something like that. But what you're going to save and have more capacity for on the back end of that effort, it's a fucking game changer. And it's like one of those things, like that confirmation of threes. Like once you get the third one, you can't ignore it. Right. And once you start to come around to the awareness that, like, oh shit, I just took this mask off and I just put this one on. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Well, then the only thing left in the aftermath of that awareness is the choice you make. Going back to your point, it's not about my circumstances. It's about the choice. I'm the product of the choices I make inside those circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And awareness, I think it's fair to say we can chunk that up to a circumstance as well. Now I have it. It'd be really ignorant of me to dismiss it completely. Okay. So, what is the decision that I can make in the here and now that allows that awareness to then serve me? Right.
Mm-hmm.
How's that landing for you?
Hmm.
I can see your wheels spinning.
Oh, they spin. They spin. um, that's interesting because in the past probably couple months, I have fallen in a situation where so far as my relationship with God has
Mhm.
changed and has gotten really close.
Mhm.
And for me to bring that into my home and or my salon was in the beginning difficult for me because I
Mhm.
wanted to feel myself and what I was evolving into and what I'm starting to become.
Mhm.
And I didn't know, I was concerned about how people would think. And the same thing, I didn't know if I would lose clients. I didn't know if I wasn't sure what was going to happen.
Mhm.
And slowly I started testing it and bringing that in a little bit. Okay, I'm going to try and see how people react to it.
Mhm.
Eventually, I just started getting comfortable, and it was more of the heck with it. I'm just going to do it,
Yeah.
and it's been
Mhm.
great. It's been great because I feel it's almost like um, you're free
Yeah.
because you're just
Mhm.
being yourself
That's right.
completely.
Mhm. And when you embody your fullest expression, what's really interesting about that is you don't meet any resistance, right?
No. Hmm.
Because it's honest, and what's overused in the zeitgeist right now, it's authentic,
Hmm.
right? It's who you are. um and it's not something that needs to be justified or explained, right? But in the beginning, as you're in that bardo, right, as you're letting the old stuff die so the new stuff can come alive, it's like that's where all that thought shows up. It's like, oh man, what the fuck is everybody gonna think of me?
Hmm.
Like, what's gonna happen now? You know, and I allowed myself to suffer through that for a really long time in sunsetting the gym, because it's like, man, all these people, right? They've been coming, they put their faith and trust in you to do the thing. And it took a lot of guidance and encouragement and support to accumulate the trust and let it go as opposed to letting it become a dumpster fire to justify the decision that I knew I needed to make forever ago.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And being on the other side of that, as you are in your salon now, it's like when that shows up for you, the next time you trust it that much faster.
Yes.
Right? Because
Mm-hmm.
now that space is yours.
Exactly.
And something inside of you, as you come back to faith and a more intimate relationship with God, there's something inside of you that said, this is who I am. I want this in my space.
Mm-hmm.
And even in that knowing, you second guessed it. But because that came from this and not this, expressing your faith is not the same as some weird poster on the wall that you're worried about somebody not liking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's either for them or it's not. As you are or not, that's not your problem.
Mm-hmm.
And to be in that place and to recognize those confirmations and to step into that confirmation fully, that's everything. And I think it's so fucking awesome that you're doing it.
Thank you.
Hell yeah. Again, shout out to DJ for putting us together. I'm really happy with where this conversation went today. It is 100% confirmation for me, as I hope it was for you. And for everybody out there listening, where can they go to find Noelia and everything that you got going on, and get their hair did, get some of that color, and get fixed up and hooked up by you?
No, I'm located in Scottsdale, Caney Ranch area. You can connect with me on Facebook, Instagram, um, Noelia901 or Beauty Soiree on Instagram. I can give up my phone number. It's 480-469-3604. You can text me, give me a call, and we can connect.
Awesome. I appreciate you, girl. For everybody out there who's on a mission to be the fittest leader possible, head over to nextlevelhq.co. And if you want to see how you show up as a leader, take the leadership quiz that pops up, because everything comes down to integrity, courage, and ownership. And it's laid on the foundation of alignment first. We'll see you next time.